Welcome to On The Spot with OPPO, where we connect you with inspiring entrepreneurs and innovators making their mark. Today we're here in beautiful sunny Munich, where we have Finance Club UEFA Champions League event. And here, we're here to watch the final game of Champions League, PSG versus Inter Milan. You have a team today?
Not really.
Okay.
I guess it's the best moment, right? When you can watch a soccer game, it's a very important football game.
Yeah.
Without really supporting one of the two teams, you can fully enjoy the game.
True. Yeah, today we're joined by Giovanni, and he's a business executive in sports, and he has found ways to help others along the way. And so welcome to On The Spot with OPPO, Giovanni.
Thanks for having me. It's great to be here.
Yeah.
What a wonderful experience.
Yeah, and Giovanni, why don't you tell us a bit more about yourself and your professional journey?
Sure. So I'm Italian. I guess the accent, you can hear the accent. I was born in Italy. I play football my entire life. I play sports my entire life. I guess that defines me and helped me. I am who I am also because of the way you get educated. And I was an only child. So I got a lot of attention from my parents. That's kind of a lottery. I had a good childhood, and I was always playing sports, especially football. Right? I'm Italian, so football is a big part of our culture. Winston Churchill said that Italians lose wars as if they were football games, and football games as if they were wars. Right?
Wow.
So it's huge for us, and pretty much almost all the kids play football. I was a quite eccentric goalkeeper, even if I'm relatively short, and I've always been short, even shorter. So that also helped me develop my personality. But at the same time, I've never really dreamed of being a football player. When growing up, my idol was in the era of the Galacticos of Real Madrid, where all my friends wanted to be either Beckham, Figo, Ronaldo. My idol has always been Florentino Perez. So I wanted to be the president of a club, and I had it clear that I was not going to become a professional football player, even if I played at a decent level. It wasn't really my dream. I wanted to be the president, right? I wanted to be the most powerful guy. And it's funny, I remember Beckham's presentation, and it's David Beckham, and everybody wants to be Beckham.
Yeah.
And I saw how Beckham saw at Florentino. I was like, even short guy, but I was like, wow. And I don't want to be Beckham. I want to be Florentino Perez. I mean, it represents the power. I want to be the guy that manages a club. So I had it clear, and that helped me along the way to kind of achieve my dreams. And I quit football, went to the university. In Italy, you cannot play sports at a professional level or try to be professional and study at the same time. You can, but it's very difficult. It's not like in the US where you have a sports scholarship system.
Yeah.
Later on, that's why later on I will build a company to help Italian athletes to go to the US where they can actually play sports and study. But I quit playing football. I went to study law at the University of Bologna, which is the oldest law school, oldest university in the West world.
Yep.
And it's over there that I realized pretty much my first dream that was going to live in Orange County. So I grew up with a very famous TV series called OC. So all kids of my generation wanted to go live in Newport Beach. It was like a dream of everybody.
Yeah.
So I was at the University of Bologna, and there is a program called Overseas where they select kind of the top 20 students, and you have the opportunity to go study in one of the UC campuses for free, full scholarship. And at that time, I think none of the law students had ever won that scholarship. But it was my dream, so I went pretty well. I got good grades, and I applied. And all of a sudden, I was, living in Newport Beach in California. So my first choice was UC Urban, which is 20 minutes from Newport Beach. It was not Berkeley, as most of my friends. It was not UCLA.
Yep.
I just wanted to go live in Newport Beach. And I've realized that dream, and obviously changed everything because I got into, it's US. So I'm very grateful to the US for that first opportunity because it opens a lot of doors.
Yep.
You see a different culture, different people, and it was amazing. It was a dream coming true, and I said, if I've realized that dream, Like I can do pretty much anything in my life.
Yeah.
And I still believe that nowadays that was the biggest accomplishment of my life. And whatever I will do in the future, that's going to be the biggest accomplishment of my life. So from there, I went back to Italy. I studied only 1 year over there. Then I had to make a decision, but I went back to Italy, and I started a company to help student athletes during my 3rd year of law school, because law school in Italy is 5 years, is undergrad and grad.
Oh.
So
you were managing a company and also studying
I
at the same
started a
time.
company
Wow.
while I was studying, and then the second dream was I really wanted to go and write my dissertation at Harvard Law School.
Yep.
Which I didn't have a relationship with Harvard, as when I say we, the University of Bologna had with UC campuses. So I had to figure out how, and I pretty much read all the books of Professor Carfagna. There is a professor that teaches 3 classes in sports law at Harvard. So the books of his mentor, and spent more than, I don't know amount of hours, I would say thousands of hours. It was pretty much 4 or 5 months working on this project for my dissertation that I sent to Professor Carfagna, and he invited me to study 6 months at Harvard Law School with him as a visiting research student. And from Harvard, I went to Columbia for my master, proud Columbia alumni. Mm-hmm. And started working in sports, because the master was sports management. Mm-hmm. And I moved to London to work for the private equity fund of an Italian owner of a big club in the UK called Leeds United.
Yeah.
And then when Leeds?
Yeah,
It's a huge club. Still love Leeds. Still love the football club. I'm still a big fan of Leeds United. And then from there is when I went back. I spoke with my mentor, so I'm lucky, because besides Professor Carfagna, I had another mentor that I met at Columbia. His name is Chuck Baker. He's probably the most important sports lawyer, sports entertainment, M&A attorney in the US. And we started a new different project with an Indian agent, very smart guy called Arvind Narayan. And they were going to buy a football club in Mexico with a crazy project with Netflix. So it's still, I don't know if it's still confidential, but that's how I landed into Mexico. And when that deal collapsed is when we bought Cancun FC. That was the first investment of Blue Cross Sports Group, our group. And what we do, we buy and manage football clubs, kind of a private equity, in a meaning that we see clubs that have potential, we buy them, we operate in a good way, and following the philosophy of our CEO, Jeff Luhnow, a very famous executive in baseball, that then he decided to enter football. And so try to organize the football club in the best way possible, apply data analytics, technology, put emotions on a side, because emotions are, and we'll talk, I guess, about it, but are the most important. Our industry lives of emotions, but when you have to make decisions, sometimes emotions are a problem. So strategic thinking doesn't really require emotions. And that's what we do. And the first club we bought was Cancun. It's kind of a little baby for me, because we created a club from scratch in an incredible place, one of the most beautiful places in the world, probably.
How old is Cancun FC now?
So we are 5 years old. We bought it in 2021, started operating the club in 2022. So the club was 1 year old, but was founded during COVID. So not a lot of people knew a lot. I remember I took 100 taxis and only 4 people knew about the club, right? And if taxi drivers don't know about the club, it's a problem. Nobody knows about the clubs.
Definitely.
So it was a new club, a new opportunity to build something new, which is not common in Latin America. It may be in the US, because over there you call it soccer, is growing. But in Latin America, pretty much every city has a football club, right? Like in Europe. So it was a unique opportunity to build a new brand, a different brand, then I can have that kind of relationship with a younger audience. That's why we call we called ourselves. It wasn't given, but we decided we really liked the New Gen Club because we are a New Gen football club, different from the old traditional clubs.
Wow. So yeah, I mean, it's very well established that you love football. I mean, you grew up with football. You studied about, I mean, law, also like the sports law, and also sports management. You worked in law, like, but well, were there some like what would you say are your biggest challenges along the way? And how do you navigate them?
Along the way, there was definitely the sports challenge of being a short goalkeeper that helps you develop your personality.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't tall, so I had some other abilities, but the skills, but I really need to develop a strong personality. So I've always had a strong personality also because of that. And it's incredible how the sport part, if you grow up playing sport, I also play a lot of tennis and I'm a little bit crazy, so I matured along the way, but sports help you, right, to develop your personality. And so that was the biggest challenge. And I guess it helped me not only on the sports side and allows me to play for the football club of my city, but also along the way, the studying part, the education, and then working. So that was the biggest challenge. Then it's always hard for people somehow enter the industry, and I was lucky to do it through incredible mentors that opened a lot of doors to me. So I'm very grateful. That's why I had people that are like family for me, like as I mentioned, Professor Carfagna or Chuck Baker. I wouldn't be where I am if it wasn't for them.
Yes.
And obviously the challenges are part of life. You try also to prepare yourself to have less challenges, in a meaning, right? If someone is sitting in a shade today, is because someone planted a tree long time ago, or 20 years ago. And I guess that's what I've always been really focused on set my path and be prepared for every challenge that I may have. So and that it worked. It worked out pretty well, I guess, in my path.
And when the opportunity comes, you're always ready.
And then when the opportunity comes, I was lucky. Luck, sometimes, I guess, very lucky to be there when the opportunity arrived. I knew, for example, that the next step for football was football finance wasn't really a topic 6-7 years ago. Yep. And I knew that American private equity funds were going to invest in football. For me, it was logical. But at that moment, nobody really, at least in the US, I was writing this paper at Columbia, and nobody really saw that. That for me was crazy. If you know a little bit about private equity, I've never been a private equity expert, but if you know a little bit of private equity, there was a huge opportunity to enter sports and buy clubs in football, because they were all distressed assets with huge opportunity. So I was at the right moment with the right topic, and like, long story short, 1 year later, 2020, all the biggest private equity funds started looking at football. So, and I was that guy that was writing a paper at Columbia, then a lot of connection, I was meeting a lot of people. So I managed to be at the right spot at the right moment. Yeah. So when the boom arrived, I don't want to say I had a name, but people already knew me, and my mentor did, because this was the first conversation that I had with Chuck Baker. So I was there. And this allowed me to move faster and go work for the owner of a private equity fund, and then somehow create my fund. I'm part of the founding team of Blue Crow quite early, right? I was quite young. Thanks also to some incredible people as my boss and also business partner, Jeff Luno and Arvin, who are the two founders of Blue Crow, that really believed in me, and we started this project together, because it's always about people in the end, right? Yeah. And if I go back in my life, I owe a lot to a lot of incredible people that are not even family, and right now they're like family for me, because they taught me a lot and they opened a lot of doors.
Yeah, well, it felt like you navigate this whole journey very smoothly, to the point that, okay, your challenge don't really feel like challenge to me. But I'm sure there's a lot of hard work that you dedicate, that we don't see, that you put effort into this whole journey. But yeah, I can feel your passion for what you do, and that's very impactful, and that's very, like, I feel it.
Thanks.
I feel your passion.
Thanks,
I mean,
Danny.
it's the same, right? Like football is a very passionate sport.
It is.
It's not just the sport; it's a culture, especially for you as an Italian, right? Yeah, yeah. But what makes you feel, like, what makes football feel different from other industries you've been exposed to?
It's about the passion, as you just mentioned, right? It's unique. It's sports in general. So you could work in other industry or pharmaceutical industry and make way more money than in football, right? Or the oil industry, but you don't have that passion, that part that makes it unique in the good way, in the bad way. Because I quote Mourinho that says, if you go to the doctor and the doctor tells you something, you're not gonna say, oh no, it's not true. I know it better. Yeah. But then everybody questions Mourinho's starting 11. It's like everybody thinks they know more football than I do, but the reality is not, right? That's the passion aspect. It's unique. We say that we live in a country, in Italy, of football coaches. The same is true for Mexico. So everybody thinks that they know about football, and that's related to the passion aspect, right? That people are really passionate for the sport. As you said, it's more than a sport. It's just culture. If you go to Argentina or even the UK, I was lucky to work for Leeds, for the owner of Leeds, and the people over there is a religion. There is a documentary, and it's a true religion. The same in Argentina. It's unbelievable. And the only moment a country stays together, it doesn't matter the ethnics, the religion, the political ideas, is when the national team plays, right? The same is for Mexico, for Italy. Yeah. The only moment where all Italians are together is when we watch our national team, the World Cup of our national team. That's the beauty of the sport. So it's the only moment, and that's the magic of football.
In a world increasingly, driven by data and business metrics, business analytics, how do we preserve the soul of football? The emotions, the connection with fans, the spontaneous aspect of football.
It's a good question, and it's not easy.
Yeah.
On a management side, you have to put emotions apart. I think what makes Jeff Luno, our CEO, unique in what he does and what he did in baseball and what he's doing and we are doing in football, it's that, putting the emotion on a side when you have to make decisions, when you run a club. Because emotions are dangerous and they don't allow you to make the best decision or to think strategically. So since I run a football club, on that aspect, I don't have to get emotions involved. It's very difficult. Then on the other side, you just have to make sure that people really have emotions for your club. So you have to not play with that, but you always have to make sure that emotion stays real. Jeff always says that we are not the owner of the club is of the people. We are just the guardians. And it's our duty to manage the club properly. So on one side, no emotions for us. On the other side, we have to make sure that people really feel that emotion and the passion for the club, and you have to respect that at any moment. Maybe they don't respect you if you don't do the things right. Definitely. And that's very common in football, it's very common in sports, but you always have to respect your fans.
I agree with you fully on the fans, representing the best interests of the game, being guardians of the emotional aspect to the fans. Yeah, that's definitely very true. There's also like this, KPI, business objectives. What are the challenges of balancing business objectives and for something as passionate as football?
Good question. There is a sporting side, a business side. It's a very complicated industry. That's what makes it also unique. That you may have a good financial season, but you don't win anything, and fans are not happy. So there are different KPIs. On a business side, obviously, you need, when you work for an ownership group, you need to make the club profitable, at least not lose money. In most of the case, depend on the ownerships. The ownerships, they don't really care about not losing money, but generally speaking, you don't have to lose money or make a profit, and it's a company, so it's a business entity. And then you have to balance that with the sports part, and you always want to win. You don't always win. Nobody always wins, right? Depending on the pressure of the club, there are some clubs that they begin all the season with the duty of making money, with the duty of winning, and it's not easy. You may reach your business KPI, but then you don't win and fans are not happy. So it's really about trying to balance everything in the best way. And at least if you cannot win on the sporting side, make sure that you respect your fan, then fans are happy. Obviously, fans know that they cannot always win either. So, but you have different KPIs, and you may make your investors happy, but not your fans, and fans are not clients. So it's complicated. It's very complicated, and it's a mix of things that makes the industry unique, that makes running a club unique. In our case, we try to do our best. We had an incredible with Cancun. We grew a lot the commercial revenue. We are now a good track. We won one year. Then the last tournament, it wasn't that good. The same with Leganés. So it's not easy. It's not easy. Football clubs are not famous for being cash cow, right? Of making a lot of money. Some they do, mainly through selling players, but what we look, when you invest in football, you look more kind of a private equity investment, in the meaning that you see at the growth of the asset, generally when you invest in sports, and at the future. So for example, we bought Cancun for 5 million. We know that with this club in first division, and we are right now pushing a lot because promotion relegation is not open in Mexico. We won the second division, but we're still in second division. It's suspended for 6 years. Hopefully it opens this summer. But when Cancun is in first division, it could be worth 200 million. So that's pretty much the idea, the business idea that we have. It's just generate growth of the asset. And but obviously you don't want to keep investing money, you don't want to lose money. At the same time, you want to win, you want your fans to be happy.
Keep fans happy, keep investors happy.
Keep the investors happy, and the investors, sometimes they prefer money than winning. So it's not easy, it's a difficult mix, and you have to try to do your best. And that's why there are so many investors, so many American investors that were really good at investing in other industry, and they were terrible in football. And there are so many cases of so many people that you think they were so smart, they made so much money working for some of the most important banks or investment funds, and then they enter football and they got their team relegated, they are losing a lot of money. Why? Because it's a different industry, and sometimes in different countries, so different culture. You always have to respect the culture. So there are so many elements that make this industry and running a club in this industry unique. That's also why you see investors or executives that comes from our industry, and then they really struggle in football.
No, it's funny how you mentioned, because you said like you surveyed the taxi drivers in Cancun. They don't know about your football club.
They didn't. Hopefully, right now they do.
Okay. I hope they do now. Yeah, but this brings me to a point where social media and digital presence are very critical. How do you see teams balancing their on-field performance with their off-field brand management to attract both the fans, the sponsors, investors?
Another good question, and once again, it's not easy. There are more traditional clubs and less traditional clubs. In our case, it's unique because we're a new gen club. We are new. So usually football clubs have long history of traditions. And it's very difficult to change something, and it's very difficult to modernize a football club, because whatever you touch is just, this goes against my history and tradition. People have their logo tattooed. Legacy. So
you can't change the tattoos.
How can I, right? So for us, that wasn't true. We had 7 season ticket holders at that moment. So when we bought the club, so there are 7 people that can actually tell me, something, but the reality is that we had to create a fan base. We had a new club, so it was easier for us. We are very like our presence and image in social media is strong because we know that we need social media to talk to new generation. 90% of our fans are either Gen Z or millennials, so we have very young fans, and that helps it and makes it easier to mix fashion, entertainment, art, and just sometimes stays away from football, because we know that we can do it and our fans like it. Whereas my dad wouldn't care about the cool new fashionable jerseys. He just wants his club to win, or the sports side, or the old traditional football. And I had an older traditional football mentality until I met Jeff and one of our investors called Mark Reeves that opened a lot our mind. And right now we have a jacuzzi, a beach bar, table service at the so it's more of a party. It's less traditional football. It's a party because it's Cancun and it's a new club, and we can do shootings with models. We have a lot of arts in our we have presence on social media. It's easier if I had worked for a club that has a long tradition. I saw it a little bit with Leeds, even if I wasn't involved in the operation at all. But you can see that it's very difficult. There's a long legacy, as you mentioned. So even with Leganés, it's a little bit more difficult because people at Leganés really care about their club. The club next year is going to be 100 years old. And spending a lot of time in Argentina, I know this will be extremely difficult in Argentina. And those more sports focus, football pitch results focus, as most of the clubs or traditional clubs, you lose a game and nobody, I mean, it doesn't matter how good are your pictures. Everybody's going to insult you and comment. So they really depend from the pitch results. Whereas we had a terrible first season when we bought the club, but we still managed to increase our fan base of 400% or 500%. The fan base was very small. But even with bad results, we grew our brand, which is unique in football, because we are a new gen club and we are a new club. So in our case, it's a little bit easier. In some other case with clubs with longer tradition, it's not easy to balance. There are some big clubs, like for example Juventus, that did an incredible job.
With revamping,
with the rebranding and revamping for a club like Juventus, which is huge, and they did it. And somehow right now they are, even my dad, who's a big Juventus fan, accepted it. That was incredible, that a club like Juventus could do that shift and still be accepted by most of his fans. It's unique, and they deserve a big credit for that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure they're gonna lose fans along the way, but you said they emerged successfully where they grew, right?
And I don't know if they lost fans. In the end, if you're a fan, you're a fan. You may not like it. I didn't like the new logo at the beginning, and I grew up as a Juventus fan because my dad is a Juventus fan. But then you get used to, and you see that they attracted a lot of young fans. So that worked, and it's a study case, I guess, for most of the clubs. If Juventus did it, most of the clubs can do it, but it's a difficult balance. And I may repeat the word balance because in this industry, it's all about balancing.
And like speaking about sports, in the sports industry, you guys are evolving with like new revenue streams, live stream, esports. How do you envision a traditional sports team adapting while staying true to their core values and missions, without being too commercial?
The first part is, what do you watch live nowadays on TV? So tell me, what do you watch live?
I don't go to a game. I live in China. I live stream.
Live stream, but what do you watch live? If you want to watch live on TV, what do you watch live?
Like what sports?
Well, you mentioned just right, sports. Sports is the only thing right now nowadays you watch live. Out of the 50 events with the highest number of viewers live, 47 in the US were sports, right? If we talk about Europe, pretty much it's the same, but for football. But it's all about football and sports. It's the only live things. You don't know the results, or you don't want to watch a game knowing the result. Like if I cannot watch the Champions League final, I will not watch it tomorrow because when I know the results, you want to watch sports live. So that's why the media rights in the last decade, 15 years, went to the sky, and the revenue clubs had from media rights, that then salaries of players are higher, everything, it depends mainly on media rights. because it's the only thing that TVs nowadays can show live, and that's the unique aspect of football. So that's the core. How these will evolve, I don't think media rights can keep growing. Probably they already reached the highest point, and we saw already some media rights crisis, like in France. So you cannot rely that much on media rights. You need new revenue generation. And there are some ways of doing that, new revenue. And we saw it, and makes it a little bit more entertainment, documentary, just not being only a football club.
Yeah.
As we said when we bought Cancun, we said we're going to be a mix of art, entertainment, fashion, technology, not just a football club.
That's a lot of aspects, pillars.
And we're going to try to mix everything and integrate in a brand.
Yeah.
But football clubs have to do that. Have to do that to survive, which is difficult, going back to the previous question, with the tradition and the legacy to manage. But you need new revenue. You need to see where the industry is going to survive, because I think, and most of the people in the industry, they don't want to say that, but they would agree with me, the media rights will go down. And then I don't know if they burst, but they will go down. And we need to figure out new ways of making money. Some clubs like Juventus, for example, that I mentioned, they launch a digital space, which is a big investment, but to increase all the revenue for social media and digital revenue, which is a big opportunity. And once again, you have to make your club more modern, more like a new club and different, and some old school traditional fans won't like it. But you need revenue to survive, and we are in 2025, and technology is already a big part, and we have AI right now. We have a lot of things going on that are changing our entire society, and football clubs must change too.
Yeah. No, I like that you guys are introducing like different pillars to football. Fashion, entertainment. Yeah, I mean, as long as it enhances like the experience of your core fans, and maybe bring like new demographic to your fan base, I think it's great. It's cohesive.
And most of the clubs have to do it to survive.
Yeah. But I think you guys have a better like a leeway to do it, since you guys are relatively younger.
Yeah.
Without legacy.
Yeah, easier.
But
way easier.
I'm very I'm sold on Cancun FC.
Nice, thank you.
I'm looking forward to visit you one day in
Absolutely.
Cancun.
I'm gonna reserve the jacuzzi for you.
Okay.
So
Lovely. Yeah, and I also understand that besides football, you have a passion, in various initiatives aimed at giving back to the community.
Sure.
Can you share a bit more about these experiences and how they have shaped your perspective on success and fulfillment in both your personal and professional?
this is an amazing question. It changed. It changed you as that's the best part. It changes you as human being. I was lucky. The first experience, I would say, when we launched the company to help student athletes, is good when you manage to do create a business and do something good, because you really give an opportunity to athletes that otherwise they will stop their studying to dream to become professional on their sports, which is very difficult in Italy, at least football, but most of the sports. Whereas in the US, you can study, get incredible scholarship, try to be professional, and then 99.999 they don't, but they still graduated from an amazing American university, have the opportunity to work in the US, or even go back to their country with a US degree and experience abroad and knowing at least one new language. So that was nice.
Yeah.
I've always liked people, like the human interactions. I've been always a big fan of human interactions. I love traveling. I love cultures. So
14 countries.
Yeah, I lived
14
in
cities.
pretty much. I lived 14 cities on 6-7 countries. So I had the opportunity to learn new languages, meet new people, travel a lot. I love Latin America. The best experience I had was probably in Africa, where I volunteered in a little village that had nothing, not even electricity. I mean, my building had, but most of the village done. Yeah. So you obviously change your entire perspective, right? What I think, I was discussing this with a friend, and I guess what, I don't want to say makes me unique, but what I have is that I can really go to Africa in a village and try to speak, if you don't speak my language, with people that live, with no electricity, that live And then at the same time, I was lucky to have a coffee with the prime minister of my country, right, a couple of times. So I guess it really doesn't make any difference for me, the status quo, who you are.
Yeah.
I just really enjoy having human interactions with people. I don't care. I always say that in Italy we have a lei, which is like de usted in Spanish. There is a form of more hierarchies. I hate hierarchies also in my organization. Just obviously you have a boss, and you have always to be respectful and everything. But I hate everything that I don't say lei to anybody. Even the prime minister of my country is you, like English. I don't care. You can be the most important person in the world. You can be, and you're just a human being.
Yeah. No, but hey, from our interactions, you're a very humble person.
And the humble part, the most incredible people I met in my life, they're super humble. Yeah. And I'm talking about the best even football players, and you realize that the people see that I'm lucky to be friends of some very famous football players. And you see that the idea or the way people look at them, and it's very different from the way they look at themselves, right? In the end, they have their own life that is very similar to our life. They have their friends, their family, their children. It's very interesting things about, for example, Messi's son, right? Messi's like, but for his son, he's dead,
It's just a
right?
dad,
And for Messi's friends, I don't know personally Messi, but for it just, he wants to have, it's just friends. And that for me, it opens that humility, that being humble of very important people, that you look at that and then you meet them. And right now I can meet any person in the world, and I was lucky to meet Florentino Perez 2 times. That is my idol, and still is just a guy. We spoke about sugar and why sugar is bad for your health. I mean, I don't write stupid conversations, but it's just a normal. It's just a normal person. So this is what I do also when I travel and I get to know people, and I love it. Obviously, the experience in Africa when you when you live in a place that does not even electricity, put everything, and people are happy. And they go fish. They go fish to eat their food. I mean, not as a job, just to have food to eat for them and for their kids. Just wow, right? And you appreciate and you understand that you have to be grateful. And sometimes when you live or you have live in a beautiful place or you forget that. I think that it's good to travel, and I actually look forward to going back to Africa right now, or to have another volunteering experience, to just go back to what's life for a big part of our population. That is not the life I'm living. I'm incredibly lucky. And even if you are grateful every day, and if you think about it every day, until you have those kind of experiences, you don't fully realize that. And I think that volunteering a lot of times and helping others, it's egoistic and selfish in a way that you do it also for yourself, and then in the end you'll help others. So it's the best thing possible. And I personally like it a lot.
Yeah, I can feel your humility and your passion.
I'm nobody.
It's amazing. I'm glad you're part of our finest club.
Happy.
Cohort, where you got to meet Giovanni and also James, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely.
I hope you're able to. I think you guys are united by the love of football.
Yeah,
and also I'm happy that you.
I
hope you're having fun.
Yeah, it's fantastic. It's unbelievable. The fun. So very thankful to OPPO and to you guys, Danny, for inviting me. Can't wait to go to Asia to visit China. You know that I have a lot of Chinese friends. So I couldn't go 5 years ago. I was planning to go, then I had to cancel the trip. You can imagine why. But I really look forward to going to China and visiting you, and in general Asia. I need to know more about. I've only been to Thailand, so I want to travel Asia. But this phone is amazing. I mean, the camera is unbelievable. Can't wait to take a picture of the team winning the Champions League or raising the Champions League tonight.
24 hours with the Finex 8 Ultra. Do you have a favorite photo?
I have a favorite photo. The selfie we took yesterday was amazing at the 12 Champions. All together, the group of us.
Do you want to show it to our audience?
There's Elvis BMW.
Oh, yeah.
It's pretty cool.
Fan of Elvis.
I'm a fan of Elvis, the king.
Make it more like this. Fan of Elvis, huh?
I'm a fan of the king. Nobody's, I mean, the greatest of, I mean, that. So it's singing, but let's see the selfie all together. This is pretty cool. Yeah, with OPPO on the back.
Yeah. OPPO.
Oh, well, OPPO.
OPPO because it's inverted, right?
It's inverted.
Yeah, okay.
But this is
But yeah, I
fun.
hope you capture some good moments tonight at the game. And yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you, Danny. Again,
Giovanni. Yeah,
great.
yeah.
And thanks again for inviting me to this unbelievable experience.
I'm learning a lot about football.
Oh, great.
And I'm really glad for you that you're doing exciting things that you're passionate about. You know, not a lot of people get to do that. I would say you're very lucky.
No, I am.
Lucky,
I'm lucky to work in the industry where I've always wanted to work and do what I was dreaming to do when I was a kid. And and hopefully, who knows, let's see in the future, because obviously one of my dreams is next time win the Champions League final.
Yeah.
No, right? Not as a player, but as a manager, and it's definitely my biggest dream. So who knows? Maybe in a few years I'll look back at this interview of the day of the Champions League final, but I will be on the box looking at my team playing
Cancun.
or whatever. Not Cancun, but maybe Cancun is a CONCACAF, but who knows? Who knows an Italian team? Who do you think is gonna win? Inter or Paris Saint-Germain? Let's do a bet here live.
Not
PSG?
PSG because
Okay, then I go with Inter and we bet a beer.
a beer.
Like sounds we are in Germany.
5-5 and then play 2 penalties.
Hey,
That'll be a good
5-5?
game.
No, wait,
5-5
it's impossible. Like if it ends 5-5, I don't know. It's you're a magician.
What are the odds, right?
What are the odds with those goalkeepers? It's difficult. But thanks, Danny. Again, thanks for having me.
And before we end off, you found your passion, you found your dream. For some of our viewers who's haven't got the chance to find out what their dreams are, any advice or suggestions for them? Maybe to this camera?
Well, understand what you like first, because the dreams are not always professional dreams, but just having clear what you like, what makes you happy, and what do you enjoy, and that's the most important part, because it's in the end is one that's gonna make you enjoy your life, happy. It's more important than be successful. You can be successful at your job and then don't be happy. I mean, and it's very common. And you speak with people that are incredibly successful, and then you realize they're not happy, they're not enjoying their life. So more than having your dreams on your professional career. And I've always been focused on my professional career. So this advice comes from, I've never had a girlfriend. I don't have, a the personal aspect has always been secondary for me. It's always been about work. So this comes from a guy, from the other side. But what the recommendation is just what makes you happy. Like at the end of the day, what you enjoyed and makes that your objective in life. Could be professional. In my case, it is professional. I'm lucky.
Yeah.
It may be absolutely outside your job, and it's fine. But what makes you happy, and just pursue that and follow that, and your life will be meaningful. In the end, we all want to have a meaningful life, and so that's my recommendation.
Yeah, that's deep, but yeah.
Thanks.
That's On the Spot with OPPO, and thank you.
Thanks
Thank you
again.
for your time and your
Thanks
insights.
again. Let's go.
Let's have fun tonight.
Let's have fun tonight.
Yeah.
I take some good pictures.
Yeah.